Good evening. My name is Barbara Fisher. I'm here to talk to you about how I plan to use consensus building in the Laconia School District. The mission for Laconia School District is ensuring success with every student, every day, in every way. Laconia has been working hard towards this mission, but one area that could use improvement that would help ensure success for every student is the report card at the elementary school level. I have been assigned the task of gathering a group to evaluate the current report card. Just to give a little bit of background on the people and schools of Laconia, the city has a population of 16,010 with an average median age of 43 years. 94.3% of the population is white, making the city not racially diverse. The median income is $46,605. When you look at the education within the population of the city, 86.2% have a high school or equivalent degree, with only 29.3% having a bachelor's degree and only 7% with a graduate or professional degree. 4% of the population is unemployed. Laconia has 3 elementary schools. Currently, there are 992 students divided among the 3 schools. The city's tax rate for 2014 was $22.40 based on per $1,000 value. Of that, $9.67 goes to the public schools. All 3 elementary schools feed into the Laconia Middle School. Because of this, administrators in the district have been working towards more conformity among the 3 schools. The district used everyday math for its math program up until 4 years ago, when it hired Professor Mahesh Sharma to provide consultation and professional development in the area of math, incorporating Common Core state standards and best practices. Back in the late 1990s, the district at the primary level first began professional development using the Lesley University Literacy Collaborative Model. This was dropped in 2006, and the district adopted a reading program from Houghton Mifflin. When the Common Core state standards came into effect, Houghton Mifflin was dropped, and teachers began developing curriculum for reading and writing under the direction of the academic coordinator for teaching and learning at the elementary level. So the district's gone through a lot of changes in regards to instruction and curriculum in the last 15 years. Currently, the report card at the elementary level does not match what teachers are teaching as well as how they are teaching it. This has become a problem for teachers, administrators, students, and parents. So our problem has 2 parts. Do the elementary schools in Laconia need a new report card? And if so, should the district do a standards-based report card? There are many stakeholders that are interested and affected by the report card. Students and parents are important stakeholders. They need a format that is easy to follow, with information being reported out that's relevant to students and parents, and where there's opportunity for feedback. Teachers are another stakeholder. They need a format that's easy to use, is not overly time-consuming, and gives relevant information that matches what's being taught. Other stakeholders include administration, school board members, and community members. So why have I chosen consensus building? Well, consensus building is a process. It's a voluntary process, and it involves problem solving, lots of analysis, collaboration by the group, and also ownership by this group, and ownership of the decisions that are made. And consensus building offers overwhelming agreement, not a majority vote. There's things to consider when you use consensus building, such as which stakeholders should be invited. Are there trust issues or other issues that must be addressed before the process can even begin? And what information do the parties involved or the group need to understand before they move forward? So the problem is structured into two parts. Part 1, should a new report card be created for the elementary schools? If the group, through consensus building, decides no, then the committee goes no further. If, through consensus building, the group decides yes, then they move on to the next part. Should the report card be standards-based? So there's a process involved in consensus building. The first part is convening, deciding who will be involved, which stakeholders will have a part in this, where will it happen, and what funding, if any, is needed for this process. Obviously, I would involve as many stakeholders as possible, but keeping the group to a working size, about 10 to 12 people. It will happen at the school, one of the schools, or the SAU office. And with funding, it would depend on if work was needed outside of the contract time. As we begin the process, there's responsibilities to consider. Developing an agenda with a timetable and deciding on which tasks will be decided at each meeting. For the first problem, in deciding whether or not we need a new report card, I would use the 6 hats technique in building consensus. This is where analysis of the problem would happen. The first part, group members would wear the white hat, and they would analyze the data. I would strongly suggest that the group survey parents, students, and teachers about what they like and dislike about the current report card. The group would analyze the results, looking only at the data the survey gives. The next part of the problem analysis was where the group would put on their red hat, and they would look with their gut or their intuition, and they would look to see what does the report card look like through the eyes of the student and the parent. How would they react if they received this report card? The next way to analyze the problem is the black hat, or pessimistically. And this would be looking at the report card in a negative way. What attributes about the report card do they not like? And this is where you would only look at what's wrong with it currently. That next part would be the yellow hat, where you do the opposite and look at it in a positive way. There could be some positive attributes about the current report card. What are they? And this is important to the group as well. And also the blue hat, facilitating. There needs to be a facilitator with the group, not necessarily me, but somebody who would lead the group through each part of the consensus building tool, and bring the group back to the task at hand if needed. Also, we need to take some notes, preferably on chart paper, So the group has something to refer to while they use the tool and after they use the tool when it comes time to make the decision. Once all that analysis is done through all those hats, I would use the force field analysis, where you take a look at the question, do the elementary schools need a new report card? And you really look at each reason for change, and you would score each reason. And then you would look at each reason against changing the current report card. Again, scoring each, and then that would be our deciding point. So decision making would be made, either yes or no to a new report card, and then implementation. Do we move forward with the new report card, or do we not? If the group does decide that we do need a new report card, I would use a different consensus building tool. I would use the consensus-oriented decision-making model. I chose this because it's flexible, it also is collaborative, it also involves many stakeholders, and it also involves facilitation. It has several parts to the process: framing the topic, holding an open discussion, identifying concerns, working together in a collaborative way to come up with the proposal, choosing a direction, synthesizing, and then closure. And again, this is just deciding whether we should have a standards-based report card or not. As I looked at consensus building, there were several techniques that I rejected along the way. The Quaker model, although it's common for consensus building, I thought it was too rigid for the problems I presented. I wanted a model that allowed more analysis through discussion. The Delphi technique relies heavily on expertise and looks at forecasting. The citizens' jury is similar to the way a jury is selected, and the group's presented with information from experts, and then they come up with what's called a verdict. It didn't seem to fit this particular problem, as well as the multi-attribute technique. This one seemed more appropriate for decisions involving several alternatives. These problems I presented either have a yes or no decision. Consensus building involves a lot of decisions. I think I have chosen two models that will be engaging for the group, will bring commitment to the decision being made, involve many stakeholders, and it will also be powerful and meaning to those involved. Thank you.